Seeing you just introduced yourself as why did we get here where we are. So I want to do a quick little story about why I'm standing here today. When I was 9 years old, my hometown in western New York, land of farms and cows, had a 100-year storm event. Of course, I didn't know at the age of 9 what that meant until the storm came through and half of my classmates lost their homes. Luckily, my house is on the high side of the tracks and our home was spared. So at the age of 9, I decided that no one should undertake that type of impact on their life, and decided to do what I could to make a change. So that's how I got where I am today. So who am I and where am I today? I started the commission in the construction division, and for 25 years I helped with the construction of our sewer separation projects. And you may say, what the world is that? That's when you take the combined sewer, which is the rain and the sewer from your bathroom, and take that and put them in 2 separate piping systems. We spent almost $1 billion to date doing stormwater improvements, which either discharge now to the Charles River or into Boston Harbor, or go through wetlands to purify the water and then mitigate flooding. That's been the goal of the commission for the last 30 years. But as we all know, what we thought was going to be the solution 30 years ago is today may not be the solution. However, the commission continues to do that sewer separation in 2 coastal communities of South Boston and East Boston, and is going to be spending probably $300 million in the next 7 years to put more big pipe in the ground to store the water when it can't get to the ocean. So as chief of operations for 5 years, my team, in concert with the city agencies and the MWA, were responsible for planning ahead of the events. Whether it's a 1/2 inch storm event or a 5-inch storm event, all the people in operations take every storm seriously. We have a whole protocol of low-lying areas that are inspected before the storm, during the storm, and after the storm. But with the changes in the climate, we have a bigger issue on the coastal area, which sometimes then impacts inland areas. You would say, well, how can somebody on Columbia Road be impacted and they're 2 miles away from the coast? Well, because our drainage system all discharges to the ocean. And when you have a lower lying area on Columbia Road, those businesses along Columbia Road actually took it upon themselves to build little dikes and dams in their doorways, 8 to 10 inches tall, because they know that when there's a big storm coming, they can potentially get flooded. Well, the commission didn't think that was a good solution for them to have to do that forever. So what we did is we went out there, we increased the number of catch basins. We put in some infiltration systems that'll help infiltrate some of that storm water into the ground. So the engineering department is still strongly encouraging green infrastructure, which is a good localized temporary solution to store some storm water prior to being going into somebody's home or business. We've actually changed how we design our drainage systems. We now have different criteria that we look at for sizing our pipes, so that when we have a new storm coming through, we can address that. Every time there's been a major significant flooding concern, the engineering department has responded positively and proactively. I remember in 1996, there was a whole dispatch of engineers, including myself. We went and walked through 3 or 4 feet of water. I know that sounds ridiculous, but we were out there trying to measure the infrastructure impacts, and then with the MWA came up with a solution that then diverted some of that water into their sewer system, so we no longer have any issues on Edgehill Road. I've already mentioned the solution on Columbia Road. We also have a big Stony Brook conduit. In that Stony Brook conduit, that discharges to the Muddy River. When we get to the volume of water that river can take, the Army Corps came in when it flooded out the MBTA station, and they dredged the Muddy River, which we now can then push a lot more storm water into the Muddy River to prevent upstream flooding. I went to Wentworth from 1981 to 85, so 9 years old I am. And I can remember twice, our buildings on Parker Street had 7 feet of sewerage standing in the basement, and that was the masonry lab, the carpentry lab, and the surveying lab. Wentworth's very happy because they got all new equipment and got to restore the buildings, but obviously that's not a long-term solution. So the commission is always proactively looking at problems in the system, addressing those systems, and we are happy to be here today to show what we do. Thank you.